My name is Justin Hughes, and I was Helltrace's first hire. Derek gave me a great opportunity back in 2012-ish to start working for him part-time. So I always have a great respect for Derek and Helltrace, and so I agreed to come out and do this interview. I was actually born in El Paso, Texas, but I was raised most of my life in Edmond, just north. Full-time, I worked there for 7 years through high school and college, and eventually they offered me a full management position, and I was chasing, even though I was working there. Whenever I had a night off or a day off, I would definitely get out as much as I could. I met Derek through my cousin, who told me that one of their friends had an opening in a weather position. Derek and I met up, I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe it was at McDonald's because they had free Wi-Fi. My first impressions of Derek were he's very enthusiastic about what he does. He's like the Russell Westbrook of the Hell community. He is nonstop, 100% all the time. I had plenty of people telling me that I was taking a risk. I had a very stable job with insurance, and like everything else that comes along with a salary position. And to step into a field that I have always wanted to be a part of, I think that was the driving factor behind why I chose to go work for a small startup company. Yes, it was a calculated risk, but looking back on it now, I would still do it. We worked in probably a 10 by 10 office space. We were very close together. Just how to do these maps from basically, he would work and figured out a way to get it done in the beginning. It was long hours, but I learned a lot being in that first 10 by 10 office space that Derek had. I think the first full storm season we actually finally moved into a larger office space. It was actually too big for the two of us, so I felt like I had that whole back room to myself. It was plenty of room, and so that was a nice change until there was storm after storm at 3 o'clock in the morning going through it. We were up there mapping them. I mean, I remember spending multiple nights up there from 2 p.m. in the afternoon to 7 a.m. the next day. It's a little different whenever you're looking at data that you love to look at and being at all at storms, even if you're not right in front of them. It was very chaotic. It was a lot of work. I thought working 60 hours at a restaurant was difficult. Derek still let me get out and chase and do all the things that he knew I enjoyed. So while it was a lot of work, I definitely did a lot of learning in that storm season. I think that 6 to 7 month time frame, I learned a ton, which I still look back on, and even when it comes to interpreting radar and stuff, I think that time frame in my life I learned the most. I think Derek really helped me learn to read the storm visually opposed to seeing it on radar. I was storm chasing for probably 3 or 4 years max by the time that I started going out with Derek. And I think with him, I took a big jump from being able to see a storm on radar and know that it might be tornadic. And then I think he furthered my ability to look at a storm, know the areas to look at, what to watch for. I would say Derek helped me the most with visually storm chasing, navigating, and obviously core punching. So. I really like how everyone knew how skittish I was, and so people would hide around the corner. They would hear me coming up the stairs because apparently I walk really loudly, come out of nowhere and try to jump out and scare me just for the fun of it. It was a very chaotic environment, but it was also fun. I think that was the beginning stages of Helltrace really ramping up. I loved my first roofing expo, yeah. Driving down there with Derek and Leah and, having that experience, setting up our booth. That's another fond memory. That was my first conference, really, interacting with all these roofers and, people that you only see through email, seeing them face to face. And then obviously getting to storm chase with Derek. Derek, before that, I think was chasing at least 10 years before I started working for him. And being able to get out with him and seeing his nonstop chasing routine was also a blast. I left Hail Trace in the summer of 2013. I now work for the company that supplies the majority of Hail Trace's data that you all use on a day-to-day basis. I am now the head of customer service and community development with Allison House LLC. We are a data aggregation company that specializes in severe weather data. So I interact whenever our feeds might be down, or you all have a question, or there's an update that Steven or Frank or Derek didn't know about, or John, and they will reach out to me. I can reassure them that everything's going to be okay. I think I probably interact with you guys the most out of all my customers, and since we have such a close relationship, it's easy for you all to reach out via text. Obviously the growth that you all have experienced, and I think your web presence I think is one of the biggest things I've noticed. Whether it's your the new websites that you've released, the updates to that, your social media presence, those are some of the things that I've definitely noticed from afar, without knowing the specifics, of what goes behind the scenes with everything else and the employees, whatnot. But I think the website upgrades and social media videos, and just your presence online and in the community, I think is some of the biggest things I've noticed. Want to say it's awesome that you guys have been around for 10 years. I didn't even really think about how long it's been. But I just want to say congratulations for your growth and just how much you've accomplished over the last 10 years, and especially in the last 5 years, you guys have just seemed to take off and grow, which is something that I've always wanted for Hail Trace, and I'm so happy for Derek and the rest of the Hail Trace team on everything you guys have accomplished. I hope that there's plenty more decades to come. I want to thank him for giving me the opportunity to work in the field that I've always had a passion in, and for giving me a lot of great advice, whether it's how to interpret radar data, or whether it's how to storm chase, even smaller life advices when it comes to anything from being a good father or husband, or just being a good person. I always will respect Derek for his values and his work ethic. I think I wouldn't be in the position I am in if it wasn't for Derek reaching out and giving me that opportunity back in 2012. So thank you, Derek.